up, everybody? It's HBT with Straight Up Wrestling Show. Man, I am here live, guys. I'm just going to talk a little bit about, hey, wrestling back in the day, back when I was growing up. At one time, man, I'm not going to say at one time, for a long time growing up, wrestling used to give me all vibes, kind of like football. When you think about football, you think about a big victory in football, like maybe a big time game, a game that means something toward a playoff, towards a playoff run, or a game that can have implications later on in the season, you know, to where it could lead to the Super Bowl. Maybe two great teams or something like that could lead to a Super Bowl. And basically, like I said, man, a playoff run with the lower tier championships in wrestling, and winning a world title was like winning a Super Bowl. I remember those days, man, and that's the way it was treated, and that's the way it seemed. You could go out and you could talk about someone winning the world title, and it was like I said, it had that same kind of atmosphere as the Super Bowl. Of course, it wasn't as widespread, but as far as to wrestling fans and to even people that was casual wrestling fans, it came off like a wrestler had won a world heavyweight won not just a world heavyweight championship, but it seemed like that wrestler had won a Super Bowl. And that's the type of feeling I used to get, and that's the type of feeling that a lot of people used to get. It was such a big deal. Now you win a world championship, it's like, okay, hey, that person won the world title. It's a little celebration by the wrestler in the ring or whatever. You may have somebody come out and congratulate that wrestler, and you have a commentator come out or whatever. But back in the day, I remember when wrestlers won the world title, and it was very few. It was very few in between that wrestlers was able to win a world championship. And when they won that world title, the ring was surrounded by so many different wrestlers. I mean, great wrestlers. They would surround and they would celebrate that win with that wrestler, and it was such big news worldwide when a wrestler won the World Heavyweight Championship, especially in the NWA and the WWE and the AWA. If somebody won the world title, it was big news, and it was hugely celebrated. Kind of like I say, it gave me Super Bowl vibes. So we're going to go ahead and talk about that a little bit here, guys. And before that, I'm going to go ahead and get some comments. I know a lot of people are not on here. A lot of people really haven't been, really haven't been paying attention to a lot of different podcasts today, because a lot of people are getting amped up for the Super Bowl. I understand that, but I appreciate my man Robert Brown. I see you, Robert, that you are here on here, and I see we have somebody from Facebook. I will get to you in just a moment. My man Robert Brown says Lafayette, Indiana in the building. What's happening, y'all? What's up, Robert? Robert Brown, at one time wrestling used to outdo Super Bowl. Hey, it never outdid the Super Bowl. Robert, but hey, it was huge. Wrestling was huge, but never outdid the Super Bowl, man. But hey, to us wrestling heads, it will always seem like that. But no, I mean, well, wrestling just so worldwide, man. I mean, not wrestling, but the Super Bowl is so worldwide. It's unphantom like to really for us to really look at it that way. But us that are wrestling fans, it will always be bigger than an event like the Super Bowl or something like that. Robert Brown, Booker T said the Hulk Hogan, Vince Russo, Jeff Jarrett nonsense needed to happen at Bash of the Beach 2000. Do you agree? Yeah, definitely. That definitely could have helped WCW 100% if that would have happened at Bash of the Beach. But still, man, Robert Brown, I don't know if anything could have helped WCW at that point. All right, my man. All right, Anonymous Knowledge Seeker says, what's up, Anonymous Knowledge Seeker? But let me go back, man. Let me go over here and check Facebook, check who that is that I have on Facebook right now. But yeah, I'm not forgetting my man. Not forgetting my people on Facebook, straight up. You know, I have the camera a little farther away from me, so I can see your comments and I can see who's on here, but I can't read the comments that far off unless even when I put on my glasses, I won't be able to do that. Those glasses are not like my first pair of my glasses that I had before that I could read everything off the screen. For some reason, I can't with those. All right, my man Rocky Shaw says, HBT preach. What's up, Rocky Shaw? My man Rocky Shaw, check out my man 12 from 12 Gauge. Rocky Shaw. Rocky Shaw is in the house. Rocky, man, hey, go ahead and drop your link here, Robert. Rocky, if you want to pretty much put your podcast out there, my man Rocky Shaw, I want everybody to know my man Rocky Shaw, he's back in business. He's doing his podcasting. And hey, Rocky Shaw, we need to get Rocky Shaw, get his YouTube subscribers up there, man. Facebook subscribers too. But yeah, appreciate everybody coming in and rocking with me on this right here, guys. And I'm gonna do this before the Super Bowl. You know, be on here for about 20 more minutes or so, maybe a little bit longer. But let's go ahead and talk about this. Yes, I remember. I got to go way back. I remember the first Super Bowl win. Not Super Bowl win, man. Wow. See, I'm talking about wrestling, but I'm calling it a Super Bowl win. One of the first world championships that I remember being won back in the day. Now, what was so great about it back in the day, like I said, we had the territories. And the NWA, National Wrestling Alliance, what I used to love about the National Wrestling Alliance, NWA, like if you was watching Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, which is from the Carolinas, and went up to Virginia. It was in the Carolinas, Virginia mainly. If you was watching the Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, you saw it was Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling, which was Jim Crockett Promotions, which was huge. But it had the NWA logo on the, that was on the ring apron, the NWA logo. And it said National Wrestling Alliance when it came on. If you was watching Georgia Championship Wrestling, this is when around the time cable had got started. Wasn't a lot of people who had it. But we did. Fortunately, my family, we had it, early 75, 76, 77. You go over to Georgia Championship Wrestling. Georgia Championship Wrestling, come on, National Wrestling Alliance. Right there on the ring apron, the NWA. So they was affiliated with the NWA, just like Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. They was in Georgia. Big operation out in Georgia. Then you had Florida Championship Wrestling that was coming on back then, too. Florida Championship Wrestling, come on. It was part of the NWA, National Wrestling Alliance. A couple years later, we started having CWA out of Tennessee coming in. Tennessee, I think Alabama, that started coming in. They was represented by the NWA. And also, if you was one of these people like me who used to pick up the wrestling magazines, used to do everything that I could to find out what was going on wrestling around the world. You saw in Australia, they had NWA territories there. New Zealand, they had NWA territories. NWA was affiliated with New Japan Pro Wrestling over in Japan, and All Japan Wrestling over there in Japan. So they was affiliated over there with a lot of places, and they was affiliated over in Germany, and they was affiliated in England. They had territories. So the NWA was all over the world. So that name was synonymous with wrestling fans. If you was a wrestling fan, even if you wasn't a wrestling fan, you knew NWA meant National Wrestling Alliance. I'm not talking about the rap group, guys. I'm not talking about niggas with attitudes, okay? I'm talking about the National Wrestling Alliance. That's what it meant, NWA. And even when NWA, the wrestlers came out, not the wrestlers, the rappers came out, a lot of people who hadn't heard, who wasn't rap fans, and when they first heard of them, they say, people say NWA. A lot of people thought they was talking about the National Wrestling Alliance, even though the National Wrestling Alliance by 1989, they was basically almost on the verge of selling to Ted Turner in 1989, but they continued on after that. But after WCW, it got pretty much taken off TV because Jim Crockett Promotions, who owned WCW at that time, pretty much swallowed up every territory that was in the NWA. So they were the NWA. But let's go on to talk about Jack Briscoe. I remember when Jack Briscoe first won the World Heavyweight Championship. And I think the first time he won it was 73. I was like 5 years old, guys. So you could pretty much, think of my age if you think all the way back, that many years. So it was around 73. I remember when he first won it. He won it from Dory Funk Jr., who held that belt like 4.5 years. So this thing with Roman and everybody, it's nothing compared to what they was doing. And Dory Funk Jr., he defended that title around the world, guys, and he defended that title weekly. Okay. And Dory Funk Jr., he won it from Dory Funk Jr. And I remember, because back then they showed the 8mm film. They showed that. They used to show that on the territories, when you saw something important happen in the whole territory, you would see things like Jack Briscoe, or you would see Andre the Giant when he came to the United States, he was making his waves. And you saw Dusty Rhodes. You saw when the big things happened, your local NWA territory would show that, but they would show it on the 8mm film or whatever. They say, we got the film, and they would show it. I remember when Jack Briscoe, when I was a little kid, man, I was in kindergarten when he won that title from Dory Funk Jr. Or was I in first grade? I think I was in first grade at that time. And man, everybody came into the ring. The ring was surrounded with great wrestlers who came to celebrate with Jack Briscoe. Put him on the shoulders. It was just a big thing. And everybody, I remember when I was little, all the, my aunts, my uncles, all the adults in the neighborhood will be talking about that. This man who won the World Heavyweight Championship. It was a big deal. It was a big deal. And I'm talking about people who didn't really watch wrestling. They was really casual fans. Of course they got it in their face and they saw a little bit of it, because back then there was only 3 TV channels, and you might have had a UWF channel or whatever, kind of like a PBS type thing. But there was like 3 channels and 1 public broadcasting system channel. So everybody got a taste of wrestling. You walk in anybody's house, somebody in that house may be watching wrestling when the wrestling program was on. So these wrestlers got national attention back then. They just did. They just did. And they was a household name. That's why Ric Flair was such a household name in the southern states. He was huge, man, because he had a big mouth. And hey, you either hated him or you loved him. And hey, even if you didn't watch wrestling, you didn't go to the wrestling matches or whatever, you wanted to see Ric Flair get beat. And people would be like, tell me when he's coming into town. Tell me when he's going to wrestle at the auditorium on Monday night. Tell me when it's his turn. I'm going just so I can see his butt get beat because he talks too much. That's the way people used to come to you about wrestling. And so many people used to pack these houses out just because they hated a guy that their kids or somebody in their family may have been listening to, maybe in watching wrestling or whatever. They don't know much about wrestling, but they hear somebody like Ric Flair who had a big mouth talking a bunch of noise. They hear the Anderson brothers. And Ole Anderson always used to be challenging the public and everything like that, saying, hey, if you sitting there on your couch or whatever, you probably telling your wife, your girlfriend, well, we can beat them Anderson brothers. He always set out challenges. So people used to pack the arena. That wasn't even wrestling fans back then, man, which was so great. Roddy Piper, when he came in, and when he came to the Mid-Atlantic Championship area back when I was a kid, when I was in like 5th grade, around like 1979, 78, 79, but he came in 79. I was in 5th, 6th grade. This man came in talking a bunch of noise, and people wanted to get at him. He was a bad guy, and he used to be like, he was so arrogant. Come on TV, I'm Roddy Piper. Wouldn't you like to be a Piper too? This guy was very arrogant, man. It was a stone trip, and a lot of people used to want to be getting at Roddy Piper. So, man, it was just amazing. But like I say, going back to Jack Briscoe when he won that World Championship, it was a big deal. Then he lost the title. I remember he lost it to Harley Race. And, that really wasn't that big of a deal, because when the Hills took it back, people didn't celebrate as much. People would moan. People would be moaning on the streets and everything like that. But I remember he won it again in 1975 when he beat Harley Race again. And it was a big celebration again, because he had lost it. He had won it. I think he lost it. Then he won it back. So his reign was like a little bit over 2 years, but really great, man. And he won it. He lost it to Terry Funk. Now, when Terry Funk won it in 75, like I say, everybody knew about it, but it wasn't the celebration because he was a heel too. Wasn't a celebration like the fan favorite who won it. And then I think Terry Funk lost it in 77 back to Harley Race. Still, once again, Harley Race, the way he was with the people, it was a celebration as far as you want to look at. Hey, people say, okay, he won the Super Bowl. It was kind of like, kind of like the Pittsburgh Steelers. Like the Steelers, when they used to win Super Bowls back then, the people in their city loved it. People around the country couldn't hate it. I mean, people around the country hated it. They hated it because that's how many people hated the Steelers. But when a fan favorite won it, it was like the Cowboys won it. So many people in America enjoyed that. And he held it. And when he held it into 77 to 79, and I think the first world title victory happened in 79 for Dusty Rhodes, and it was a major, major celebration. And you saw who came into the ring there. I mean, if you look at, had a former world champion, Jack Briscoe came through, Angelo Moscow, so many different people, greats. And I remember Andre the Giant, who was celebrating with him. I don't know if that was first or the second win, but you had so many people that went in and celebrated with Dusty Rhodes when he won his first world championship in 1979. And then Ric Flair took that off of him a year, about it wasn't even a year later. It was anywhere from 3 to 5 months later. Ric Flair took it off of him, but Ric Flair wasn't celebrated. Ric Flair was a heel at the time. That's when Ric Flair actually won his first world championship. Was in 1980, I think 1979, 1980. Ric Flair won his world championship. Wasn't celebrated. A lot of people think his first world title was at Flair for the gold when he beat Harley Race, but that wasn't Flair's first world championship, but it's celebrated as that because it was at Starrcade, which was the first Super Bowl of wrestling. It was huge. Starrcade was huge. It was on a closed circuit TV. A lot of people got to see Starrcade, the granddaddy of them all, but that wasn't Ric Flair's first win. Now, Ric Flair was a fan favorite when he won the title the second time when he beat Harley Race, and that was a huge celebration. Angelo Moscow came in the ring. Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Jay Youngblood, Chief Wahoo McDaniel, I think. So many greats came in the ring to celebrate with the Nature Boy Ric Flair. That was an outstanding victory, man. That was great, and it was like the Super Bowl. And that right, you could celebrate that because so many people, everybody pretty much, as far, especially in the southern states and a lot of other areas in the United States, knew who Ric Flair was. So that was like, this guy had won the Super Bowl, man. You could talk, somebody could be talking about the Super Bowl, then you could talk about that, and people will turn and they will talk about that. That's how important it was. And that's what wrestling has to be again, guys. And only way, I mean, that's a hard thing to do. Now, I see people win world titles now. It's not really celebrated. It's mostly in AEW. But who can take that belt off Rock and it be celebrated now like that? Not Rock, but Roman. Can Rock take it off him and be celebrated like that? I don't think so. I don't think so at all. If Cody takes it from Roman, I think we'll have a celebration close to like what I know we will have a celebration from the wrestlers and the current fans. But would it translate to the outer world? I'm talking about outer world because I'm telling you, wrestling today, you know, as much as we don't like it, wrestling fans, wrestling is not relevant out here in the general public like it used to be. In the general population, it's not. You know, wrestling has a niche core of fans. It really do. It really does. Has a niche core of fans now. It's not one of these things you can just go up and talk to anybody about like you used to back in the day, 25 years ago. You can talk to anybody about championship wrestling, world. You can talk to anybody about pro wrestling, and they'll all be in with you on that. But you talk about it now, some people, they will look at you like you're strange. A lot of people look at you like you're strange. You mean to tell me you watch that stuff? But man, back in the day, like I said, winning the world title, world heavyweight championship, especially the NWA world championship and the WWE, when Hogan first won the title, huge celebration. Huge celebration. Bob Backlund, Bruno Sammartino, a couple of his wins, so big, when he won his title back. So big when he took it back from Ivan Koloff the first time. Huge. But, man, those things are far few in between now. But wrestling like that used to bring that kind of celebration. I've seen World Tag Team Championships back in the day on certain occasions. There's a couple times that happened that it felt like a Super Bowl too. But hardly, that's rare. But back in the day, man, winning a World Heavyweight Championship was very rare. But let me get to your comments here, guys. Yeah, I haven't forgot about you, but I definitely wanted to get a lot of things out. But hey, if you're coming through, hey, you know what to do. You know what to do. Whatever platform you're on Facebook, hit that like, share, join. If you're on YouTube, hit that like, share, subscribe, hit the notification bell, ding, 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 so you know when we're on like times like these. If you over on X, formerly known as Twitter, hit the like, share, tweet, and retweet, and follow the Straight Up Wrestling Show over on X. But guys, let me go ahead and check and see if I still got somebody over here on Facebook checking us out over here on Facebook before I get to your YouTube comments, guys. But yeah, like say, yeah, I ended up switching rooms. I'm in the bedroom, guys. Yeah, I got my wife's clothes. No, not my wife's clothes. And one of my children who don't live here no more, right behind me. But I don't have anything else, any more comments over here on Facebook. Let me go over here to YouTube and get your comments. Hey, because that's what we do, guys. You know that's what we do. I don't forget nobody's comments. So we're going to go ahead and rock with that. All right, let's see. All right, Robert Brown says, Mike Graham, rest in peace, no doubt. Said Booker T, Shane Douglas, Eddie Guerrero, Chris Benoit, and Dane Malenko didn't or couldn't draw. Do you agree with them? No. No. Look, man, look, love Mike Graham, but yeah, Booker T. When Booker T after when he became solo in WCW, and after he had his feud with he had his little 4 out of 7 with Chris Benoit. I think he went to another level. He became a draw at that time. Chris Benoit did too. Shane Douglas, yeah, Shane Douglas, unless he was in a tag team, in my opinion, like when he was tag team champs with Ricky Steamboat and certain people, he wasn't a draw. I just no, I don't think he's a draw on his own. You had to have a great card around him or other great wrestlers. Eddie Guerrero, definitely Eddie Guerrero was a draw. But Chris Benoit, Dean Malenko was a draw too. Was he a huge draw? Was these guys Dusty Rhodes, Ric Flair type draws, or Shawn Michaels, people like that? No, but they definitely could draw, man, straight up. And I say Booker T and Chris Benoit was those type of guys. Even Eddie Guerrero to a point got to that point where they could draw a good bit of fans. That's pretty much gonna make companies money. And I'm talking about profit money, straight up. Those guys had drawing power. So yeah, Mike Graham, I can understand what he's saying. When those guys first started or the infancy of their career, yeah, somebody else elevated them to that status to where they could get there, but they definitely got there. Do I think Booker T was a draw with his brother Stevie Ray as Harlem Heat? No, I don't think so. That team was good, but that as far as my opinion go with Harlem Heat benefited from a weak tag team, or when tag team wrestling had got weak. They benefited from that straight up. I know my partner Christopher Burton, the People's Podcaster, he likes Harlem Heat and all that, and he think they was better than Doom, but he didn't really see Doom that much. He was watching WWE mostly. He was a kid, but he did not see Doom. They definitely wasn't better than Doom. They was a good tag team, but Harlem Heat, they just I can't put them on the level of the Steiner brothers. I can't put them on the level of Midnight Express, Rock and Roll Express. I can't put them on the level of the Anderson brothers. I can't put them on the level of the great tag teams of the past, Ricky Steamboat, Jay Youngblood, Jimmy Snuka, Paul Orndorff. I can't put them on the same level as those teams, the Valiant brothers, teams like that. But you can even go with the British Bulldogs, Jim Neidhart and goodness sake, Bret Hart and Jim the Anvil Neidhart. I can't put Harlem Heat on that level. But they was pretty good for the time they was in. They was going up against teams like the Nasty Boys. Let's see, you had teams like back then you had Marcus Buff Bagwell and Too Cold Scorpio. Those type teams. The tag team division, in my opinion, was very weak at the time that Harlem Heat, during their era. And hey, maybe that's the problem there. They had weak tag teams to really go through. So that right there pretty much hindered them a little bit. But they was good for their time. All right. Let me continue on. All right, my man Robert Brown said the only thing that carried the current NWA in 2000s was Nick Aldis. No disrespect to Christian Cage, Raven, #1 Sting, but Nick Aldis carried NWA on his back. Yeah. Early 2000s, I have to say that. Then you have a couple other ones. You had Dan the Man Severn. I mean, I think he had a lot to do with it. Or was that before the 2000s? Right before. But yeah, Nick Aldis pretty much did carry it. Anonymous Knowledge Seeker, NWA was what I grew up on in the mid to late 80s. All right, Anonymous Knowledge Seeker, cool. All right, Robert Brown, do you think Dixie Carter signed Scott Hall, rest in peace, too early after his WWE release in 2002? Yes, I do. I think pretty much Scott Hall was going in there and he was getting a paycheck without checking his demons first. Scott Hall was in a bad way at that time. And no, I don't think he should have been wrestling there. I don't know if now wrestling is something that he probably needed. He probably needed to do that. He had to do that, or he probably would have been lost forever. I don't know. But yeah, Dixie Carter, I think you should have had a talk with him and said, we already got plans for you. It pretty much had him do some things to pretty much take care of his well-being before he came into TNA. All right, Robert Brown, how old was you when Ric Flair won his first world title? Let's see. 13. I think I was 13. I was either 12 or 13. I think I might have been 13. If that was 1980, in between 1979 and 1980, I think he won the first title, his first world title. I was in 5th grade. No, I know I was like in 6th grade, going on maybe 6th or 7th grade. So I was 12 or 13 at that time. All right, let's see. All right, Robert Brown says, do you think WCW made a mistake putting the belt on the Giant, the Big Show, in his first match? They didn't put it on him in his first match. I don't think, Robert Brown. I remember him getting the title, but no, it wasn't his first match. But I think I remember when he first got it, and that was quick. But no, he was dominant, man. So I don't think that was a mistake by them putting it on him that quick. But my problem with him winning it that fast is that you didn't have anything set up storyline wise for him outside of him dominating. So that was a mistake by not having a full story set up for the Giant Big Show at that time. But man, yeah, I mean, he was dominant. It made sense for him to be the world champion because he was incredible when he first came in, when he started with WCW. All right, Robert Brown says, which wrestler would y'all like to get on y'all podcast? Well, we've had a good bit of indie wrestlers. As far as, you know, I'm not gonna say everything will be, you know, as far as wrestlers from the past, man. If there's anybody from the past, of course we love to have Ric Flair. I would love to talk to Hulk Hogan, to tell you the truth, but Ricky the Dragon Steamboat will be the guy who I really want to have on the podcast. Love Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Could talk to him about so many different things, so many incredible moments that he had in the ring. Not just, most people gonna go back to what he did with Randy Savage. Some people will go back to what he did with Ricky Steamboat. I mean, not Ricky Steamboat, but Ric Flair. But man, this guy had so many incredible moments in the ring, and I could talk in detail with him about his matches, and I could talk in detail, of course, about to Flair about his matches. But man, yeah, it's you know, those guys right there. Booker T, would love to talk to him. You know, as far as the current crop, I don't see a lot of people, the current crop, unless they indie wrestlers, that we're going to get on the podcast. All right, let's see. All right, my man, ANS. Okay, Anonymous Knowledge Seeker says, yeah, Ric Flair had to give a gab. The Horseman had made you feel it. No doubt about it. Robert Brown, Anonymous Knowledge Seeker, what's happening, brother? Anonymous Knowledge Seeker says, Robert Brown, what's up, my guy? Robert Brown, Anonymous Knowledge Seeker. Not much, brother. The rest, save the wrestling business, no doubt. Robert Brown, Roman Reigns need to retain the goal at WrestleMania. Pretty much, he does. He does. I mean, now if he wrestles Cody, as long as it's a battle all the way to the end, if Cody loses, I can deal with that because it continues the story. But man, if Cody wins it, I don't know how that's going to come out. I don't know how that's going to play. But if he does defend against Cody, I can see him either losing it or, like I say, I think they need to go with the scenario of the tag team match straight up. But Roman Reigns needs to lose that title within the next 4 to 5 months, and it needs to be to Cody Rhodes, because Cody Rhodes, from the reactions he gets, the way the fans respond to him, he is the future. He is the future of wrestling. Now, Roman Reigns could be a close second, and Roman Reigns could still be the dominant man in wrestling if he wants to stick to it and make sure that's his main base. That's the main base source of income. That's what he pretty much want to do, and use that, you know, have his career go forward, wrestle a little bit more, have his presence out there. This guy, Roman Reigns, wow, he's just incredible, man. His presence is incredible. It could be a lot bigger, a lot better if he wanted it to be. And this guy is somebody who could take wrestling to the next level if he got more serious about it. Cody Rhodes too, because I think the restraints that Vince McMahon had on those guys, because he didn't want nobody to get big as wrestling. He didn't as big. He wanted wrestling. I think he got it into a confines. He wanted to keep it there because his wrestlers kept going to Hollywood. They leave and do things like that. But now with TKO Holdings holding it, and let's see, I can't even, they talk about TKO Holdings so much, I can't even remember the other endeavor. I think that they will take wrestling. They will want wrestling to get more mainstream like it used to be. And they got work to get it that way. But hey, we'll see. We definitely will see how that rolls out. All right, AJ Scales, what's up, AJ, my man? AJ says, hey, Harry, talking about wrestling. I heard WWE update on Triple H returning to the ring to lace up his boots one more time against The Rock at WrestleMania 40. That sounds crazy, man. That sounds crazy. I hope he doesn't do that. I hope he doesn't do that. The man look like he could fall over at any time. he can have a heart attack in that ring. Yeah, he's in good enough health to walk around and do what he's doing. But please, Triple H, I hope he's not getting into that ring, AJ Skills. That might not be pretty. That might not be pretty. But we don't know. All right, Robert Brown says, ever heard of Michael Elgin? Yeah, I've heard of Michael Elgin. I never seen him wrestle or anything like that, but I've heard of him. Not even sure. Is that a wrestler? I think it is a wrestler, but yeah, I'm not sure about that, Michael, Robert Brown. But hey, whatever platform you're on, go ahead hit that like button. Whatever platform you're on, I'm not gonna go through the whole spiel, but hit the like button or whatever platform you're on. Tell everybody, man, about the Straight Up Wrestling Show and what we're doing here. And guys, you know, hey, we like to come on, we answer all your questions. We like to pretty much get inside and pretty much celebrate what we're doing here in Straight Up Wrestling Show with all our friends on here. You guys are our friends more than you are fans. But hey, man, this right here. All right, Robert Brown said you should get him on the podcast. Yeah, he's a wrestler. Okay. All right, well, we'll reach out to him, man. I found out who he is. Does he go by Michael Elgin as a wrestler? So if he does and he's on social media, we'll reach out to him and see if we can get him on the podcast, Robert. Let me see, check him out, do some research on him, and we definitely could do that, Robert Brown. But man, I tell you what, the Super Bowl will be starting. I don't know how many of you are watching the Super Bowl. Some wrestling fans watch, football. Some don't. I mean, I think some wrestling fans, they think that's all it is wrestling. But we know a lot of wrestling fans watch Super Bowl or they get around people that's going to be watching the Super Bowl. But man, I tell you what, he's got a YouTube channel. Okay, Robert Brown, I definitely check that out, man. But hey, I will be doing, I will start doing a lot of indie wrestlers again. So talking to some indie wrestlers. I usually try to wait and try to get Chris there, but Chris has so many things going on and we don't get together. But I think sometimes I'm just going to do it one-on-one with me and that person, and unless I have Chris there too. But yeah, we definitely will be doing more of that, have some indie wrestlers come on and stuff like that. It's a lot more things that we're going to do with the Straight Up Wrestling Show. Hey guys, we want to make it as big as possible. And yeah, I want to pretty much get our pretty much local presence here in South Carolina a little bit bigger like it was when we first started. That's what we were mainly about. We've been growing our YouTube channel, but yeah, we want to get back to that. So, but guys, man, I appreciate everybody coming on here, rocking with Straight Up Wrestling Show. My man, Robert Brown, Anonymous Knowledge Seeker, my man, AJ Scales. All right. And over on Facebook, my man, Rocky Shaw. I appreciate all y'all coming through. Hey, we know we got a lot going on today. Definitely got a lot going on today because the Super Bowl, this is Super Bowl Sunday. And man, I like to call it Super Bowl, guys. I definitely like to call it Super Bowl because everybody eats, man. During the Super Bowl, people, they go to the grocery store. I don't know where in the world they get the money sometimes because I'm like, man, these people are buying up everything. It's like people are broke until that Super Bowl. When the Super Bowl is on, Super Bowl is coming on, everybody has some money. Everybody has money for wings. Everybody has money for pizza. People out there doing their thing and getting ready for the Super Bowl. But guys, get ready for the Super Bowl. And I'm not going to hold you up any longer. I appreciate you coming on, rocking with the Straight Up Wrestling Show, guys. And once again, hey, if you haven't subscribed to the Straight Up Wrestling Show, hey, you're missing a lot of great content. Man, I'm asking everybody, hey, hit that notification bell. Ding, ding, ding. Rock with the Straight Up Wrestling Show. Hey, man, I am out of here. Enjoy your Super Bowl Sunday. Talk to you guys later. Peace. Stay straight up.